The roar of the crowd slammed into him like a shockwave, bouncing off the transparent dome of the galactic arena and vibrating in his chest. The noise was so immense it bent the holographic light flickering above, distorting the victory footage with echoes. Blood, fire, and the rhythmic collapse of bodies played on looping holoscreens. And in the middle of it all stood Captain Talvin Rowe, helmet tucked under one arm, uniform slashed and singed, a grin carved stubbornly onto his face. His smile had made headlines before, something about Earth military's charming defiance, but now it looked tired. Purposeful. His eyes weren't on the crowd or the cameras. They were searching the line of survivors being herded onto the blood-stained sands. Champion of Earth, the announcer, draped in glittering robes and overblown grandeur, bellowed through the stadium speakers. The honor is yours. Choose your prize from the victors. Most of the gladiators had been bio-designed for this spectacle. Engineered for survival, aesthetics, and crowd-pleasing drama. Limbs shimmered with alloys and implants. Their wounds bled gold or blue, depending on the tier. Even their agony had been edited for beauty. But Talvin wasn't looking at any of them. His attention locked onto the figure at the end of the line. A slouching, scarred woman, wrapped in rusted metal and smoke-stained leather. Her left arm looked salvaged from a shipwreck, her right bore ancient tattoos scorched halfway into oblivion. Her ears, long, twitching, and unmistakably alien, didn't glitter like the others. They twitched under arena floodlights like they were annoyed to be seen. The murmurs were immediate. Why her? She's not even symmetrical. Is that plating from a mining drone? Talvin ignored the sleek twins who moved in unison, the sapphire warrior who flexed intentionally, and the quadruped from Zevala who winked with a jaw lined in microblades. He stepped forward and pointed. Her. The arena glitched in silence. Even the cameras seemed confused, hovering mid-pan before recalibrating focus. The announcer stammered. Captain, surely you meant, are you certain she's the one? I said her, Talvin replied, gaze steady. Name's Nareen. She crossed her arms, metal plates creaking audibly. You want me as a prize? Her voice was gravel and engine smoke. You sure you're not after a scrap heap or maybe a blender? I've got more sharp edges than function. Talvin smirked. We'll test that later. Paperwork was filed with the speed and grace of a limping bureaucrat. By the time they boarded the shuttle off-world, the sports commentators were already dissecting Talvin's sanity. Career suicide, one whispered. A romantic stunt, said another. Or maybe he's starting a motivational podcast, joked a third. In the shuttle, silence stretched thick and awkward. Until she cracked it. You picked the ugliest alien in the lineup. Bold move. Planning to write a self-help book? I picked the only one still standing at the end of the fight, he said without looking at her. That wasn't luck. That was survival instinct. I know what that looks like. She raised a brow. You also know what disfigurement looks like, apparently. He shrugged. Scars don't scare me. Bet you say that to all the misunderstood monsters. I do. Right before they try to stab me. She laughed, short and surprised. I like you. I like me too, he replied. Glad we agree. Their ship, a mid-tier tactical vessel called the Rift Jackal, nicknamed the Jacks, waited in orbit. Its reputation preceded it, half-hacked, half-haunted, and fully temperamental. The onboard AI, named Dara, was semi-sentient, extremely opinionated, and deeply addicted to pre-collapse soap operas. Captain, Dara greeted them dryly as the airlock sealed. I see you've returned with unexpected cargo. She's not cargo, Talvin said. Her name's Nareen. Oh good. Names make obituaries more personal. Nareen squinted. Your ship always this cheerful? Only before coffee, Talvin replied, handing her a steaming cup. She sniffed. Smells like something wrung from a corpse of a mining droid. Tastes worse, he said. Drink up. She did. Grimaced. Drank again. They launched into deep space. Talvin didn't tell her where they were headed, and she didn't ask. The silence was easier now, less jagged. Comfortable. After a while, she broke it again. You really don't know who I am, do you? I've got a guess, he replied, fingers dancing across the NAV console. Her eyes narrowed. And I'm guessing you're not exactly who you say you are either. You think I'm secretly a supermodel? No, she said. I think you know I'm the last heir to the Zavrati Dominion. Even the ship's AI paused. Talvin looked at her, finally. You always gamble this big? He grinned. Only when I'm sure I'm right. She leaned back, stared out the viewport as stars trailed past. They'll come for us, she said softly. All of them. Let them, he replied. I've got a scarred alien queen with more bite than a fleet of mercenaries. I like my odds. She smirked. You're going to regret this. Definitely, he said. But not yet. The ship shuddered as they veered toward deep orbit, and somewhere in the background, the AI muttered something ominous about misaligned weapons systems and cursed inheritance. They were both still smiling. The Rift Jackal grumbled through deep orbit like an aging beast with arthritis and a bad attitude. Its hull shimmered faintly from a minor energy rift they'd skimmed too close to, and half the warning lights on the dashboard blinked with theatrical concern. Talvin slapped the console until it stopped whining. You sure this rust bucket can handle where we're going? Nareen asked, arms crossed, leaning against the bulkhead. No, he admitted. But it has character. Just like you. If I've got as many broken wires as this ship, you should start sleeping in armor. Tempting, he said, but I find you slightly less hostile than a failing life support system. Slightly. Their destination wasn't on any official maps. It was a forgotten blip on the edge of known space, lost between charted sectors and sensor static. Technically off-grid. Practically haunted. Talvin had called it a data-gathering trip, but both of them knew that was code for something far older and stranger. The AI crackled in. Captain, a signal is repeating. Weak. Encrypted. Old. Talvin turned to Nareen. That the one? She nodded. It's not just a signal. It's a memory. Something left behind for me. They arrived in the Reaver Belt, a derelict ring of ship carcasses, rogue satellites, and drifting debris. Pilots called it the graveyard. Historians called it a conspiracy. Everyone else just avoided it. Talvin, of course, punched them straight through the densest stretch. The proximity alarms shrieked as something buzzed past the hull. Nareen didn't flinch. So, let me guess, Talvin said, adjusting the inertial dampeners. The royal bloodline faked your death, tossed you into an arena, and hoped the galaxy forgot you existed? Close, she replied. I disappeared into the arena myself. He blinked. Why? Because assassins don't chase trophies already claimed. The games were a shield. Eyes watched the fight, not the fighter. Hard to vanish when you're already on every screen. Smart, he said. Smarter than hiding in a spice freighter disguised as a ceremonial lamp. You did what? It lit up once. The incense was an accident. He laughed. Gods, you're serious. She tapped a small projector on her belt. A fragmented holographic star map appeared, a section pulsing in red. That's what I've been chasing, she said. An old Sarati relay. One of the 12 spires. I think it's still active. Talvin's eyes widened. The spires? They've been dead for centuries. This one's calling me. The AI chimed in. Good. A haunted relic beaconing to a fugitive war child. Delightful. Should I prepare a eulogy? Quiet, Dara, Talvin muttered. I liked the old AI better, Nareen deadpanned. She liked you too. She logged your probable death with a personal note. As the ship crept past the graveyard glow of long-dead cruisers, a shape loomed in the void. Spindly, twisted, and massive. The spire. Or what was left of it. Its structure looked grown, not built, organic metal wrapped in bone-white chrome. Talvin whistled. Either a warship or an aggressive alien starfish. Both, Nareen said. It's Sarati. Last of the flame carriers. The rift jackal coughed as they docked. Atmosphere hissed. Pressure equalized. And the entrance to the spire opened like it had been waiting. Golden lines crawled under Nareen's boots as she stepped onto the platform. The spire responded with a tone, part greeting, part warning. Talvin flinched. That sounded like it just woke up grumpy. It's remembering me, she said. Inside, they entered a chamber filled with suspended glyphs and a single glowing control ring. It pulsed as Nareen approached. Do I need a helmet? Talvin asked, peeking in. No. But if it starts whispering your name, run. Life motto. She placed her hand on the ring. Instantly, the chamber lit up. Holograms burst into view, memories, history, declarations in forgotten tongues. The spire spoke in Old Sarati, blood recognized. Command accepted. Memory restoration initiated. Talvin stumbled back. Okay. Definitely not a space jellyfish. The room shifted, projecting ancient archives, wars, royal decrees, and something labeled Protocol PY. What is that? Talvin asked. Nareen's voice dropped. A failsafe. A system to erase all Sarati tech if the Dominion fell. Talvin's brow furrowed. Why do you look like someone already tried to activate it? Because they did. The spire responded to her effortlessly. Its inner system surged, lifting the entire structure into orbit. The rift jackal, now tethered by its own docking cable, shook with surprise. Why are we ascending? The AI asked, confused. And why is my chair floating? Explain. Talvin ignored it, eyes locked on the stars. And what waited beyond them? A fleet. Cloaked ships shaped like obsidian blades. The Varnak reclaimers, worshippers of lost power. Fanatics. They followed us, Nareen growled. Talvin cracked his knuckles. Time to test our new ride. The spire, no, the crownless, came alive. Its weapons weren't turrets or missiles. They were arcs of light, curved and precise, dancing across space like threads of death. One of the Varnak ships disintegrated before it could blink out of stealth. Okay, Talvin said. I'm officially impressed. Don't get cocky, Nareen warned. It remembers war. But not mercy. The battle was quick, lopsided. The reclaimers retreated, leaving fragments and static curses. Then the AI spoke again. Coordinates for remaining PY sites received. 2 active. 1 destabilizing. Destabilizing? Talvin echoed. Means it's about to explode, Nareen said. He rubbed his temples. You and your family leave the worst gifts. Wait till you see the cursed crown vault. They plotted a course for the nearest PY site, hidden near a storm-wrapped asteroid. As they flew, the crownless adjusted its interiors. Walls shifted. Rooms reconfigured. A hallway turned into a greenhouse lounge. The AI got replaced by something new, sleek, serene, and passive-aggressive. Greetings, said the new voice. I am Lyres. I have improved the ship's functionality by 37%. Also, your coat is an eyesore. Talvin blinked. What happened to Dara? I reassigned her to a soap opera archive. She is fulfilled. He groaned. This is why I hate smart ships. Nareen smirked from the command chair, sipping glowing blue coffee. I like this one. She tells the truth. The asteroid base came into view like a secret too big to stay hidden, coiled in plasma storms and veiled in radiation clouds that scrambled long-range scans. The Crownless cut through it all with eerie precision, as if the ship remembered the path by instinct. Inside the command deck, the newly installed AI, Lyris, spoke in a tone that blended serenity with quiet judgment. PY core activity is critical. Structural collapse within 48 hours. You may want to hurry, unless you enjoy being reduced to molecules. Cheerful as ever, Talvin muttered, buckling into his chair. Nareen stood at the viewport, her gaze locked on the fractured station below. That base was built before I was born. And it's still sending signals. Which means someone turned it back on, Talvin said. Someone who wants the Dominion's toys more than you do. Not toys, she replied. Weapons. Or worse, keys to things better left forgotten. They landed with a hiss of atmosphere cycling through thin filters. The air smelled of burnt circuitry and old regrets. Power flickered across fractured walls. As they descended deeper into the base, a voice activated. A projection flickered to life, tall, regal, sharp-eyed. Nareen froze. Mother. The hologram turned. Daughter, it said. If you are seeing this, then the Empire has fallen, and only ash remains. You carry what we could not preserve. Do not rebuild us. Be more. Burn brighter. Leave the crown behind. The message ended. A moment of silence hung between them like breath caught in a throat. Then the PY core pulsed again. Still alive. Still waiting. Talvin looked to her. So. What now? Nareen stared at the core, its glow shifting between warning and invitation. Now I decide if the past deserves a future. She placed her hand on the core. A pulse of light rippled outward, mapping constellations across the ceiling, lighting dormant nodes across the galaxy. The ship responded. The base shuddered. The AI intoned softly, Protocol PY override confirmed. Begin restoration or collapse. Talvin raised a brow. Well, that's dramatic. Nareen hesitated. She didn't want me to rebuild it. She wanted you to decide, Talvin said. And you're the one who survived. Nareen cracked a wry smile. I always imagined this moment would come with music. A choir. Maybe a cheese platter. I've got a protein bar shaped like cheddar, he offered. Blasphemy. Then, quieter, restore. Power surged. The base roared to life, machines long dormant spinning into motion like bones remembering how to move. The Crownless, now fully bonded to Nareen's command, projected a signal through slip space, waking more than just circuits. Across the stars, ships turned. Ancient ones. Hidden ones. And they began to move. Back aboard the Crownless, things had changed. The ship no longer simply followed commands, it anticipated them. Corridors reconfigured into training halls. A lounge appeared, complete with a working espresso station and softly glowing plants that whispered calming affirmations. Talvin found a glowing stone in his quarters that told him to breathe deeply and embrace his destiny. I'm being harassed by aromatherapy, he complained to Lyris. Your emotional resistance is noted, the AI replied. Would you prefer your old AI, who routinely insulted your intelligence? Yes, he said flatly. At least she was honest. I am honest, Lyris said. Your coat still violates 9 design standards. From the command deck, Nareen laughed. She's not wrong. You do look like a retired smuggler who got lost on the way to a costume party. Talvin pointed at her. You're just mad it looks better on me. I'm mad I didn't steal it first. The moment didn't last long. Lyris's voice sharpened. Incoming transmission. Encrypted. Origin unknown. Signature matches Sarati Dreadnought-class vessel. Talvin blinked. They had dreadnoughts? Nareen nodded slowly. Only 3. If this one's real, it's the Vigilant Vow. The comms crackled. A face appeared, ancient, lined with scars and dignity. General Kelvin. Sarati war hero, presumed lost. Nareen, he said, voice a controlled storm. Daughter of Isari. Blood of the broken line. We see you. She rose. And I see you, Kelvin. Still guarding ruins. We guard what matters. And now, the beacon is lit. The loyal gather. The Dominion stirs. I haven't declared anything. You didn't need to, Kelvin replied. The crownless flies. That is declaration enough. The channel closed. Silence fell. Talvin leaned back. That felt a lot like a war invitation. It was, Nareen said. You could say no. I could, she said, eyes unreadable. But the choice isn't mine anymore. The AI projected a new course. An ancient orbital station named Haven's End. Once the command hub of the Sarati Exploratory Corps. Now, it was where the loyal were gathering. They arrived to a crumbling platform, its rings fractured and lights flickering like tired stars. But the ships were real. Sarati ships, etched with spirals and starlit sigils. At least a dozen of them, forming up behind the crownless like they remembered what it meant to follow. Nareen stepped onto the station without ceremony. Talvin followed, met with wary eyes and muttered titles. Is this your companion? One guard asked. Translator. Court jester. Emotional support disaster, she replied. Depends on the day. Today, apparently, I carry her snacks, Talvin muttered. You forgot that memo, she said with a smirk. Again. In the central chamber, cracked dome, exposed stars, Kelvin waited with warriors who looked carved from legend. You've returned, he said. I came to stop what's coming, she replied. Then you'll need a fleet. Not a throne. Thrones are for ghosts, she said. We need fire. Talvin looked at her. She didn't waver. You'll have it, she said. Outside, the Sarati fleet formed behind the crownless. Not to rule. Not yet. But to defend. To remember. To burn brighter. The war didn't begin with declarations or banners. It began with a flicker, an ancient signal, reborn through the crownless, carried on slip space veins no one had used in centuries. It pulsed, soft and undeniable, and in its wake, ships moved. Not just Sarati vessels, but systems, resistances, defectors, those who remembered the old light and those who feared the return of the flame. The writ answered with silence. Cold, immediate, and thick with intent. No diplomacy. No demands. Just dreadnoughts. On the bridge of the crownless, Talvin sat with one hand wrapped around a recycled coffee mug and the other typing commands into Lyris's interface. The ship had become, sentient wasn't the right word. Intuitive. Possessive. Helpful in the way an overly ambitious ghost might be. I woke up this morning to floating aroma crystals telling me to embrace the day, he grumbled. You're resisting emotional alignment, Lyris replied, her voice as crisp as snow over steel. I'm resisting suffocation by scented fog. Nareen laughed without looking at him. She stood over the central ring, watching tactical projections hover and blink. She has a point. Your aura has been unusually sarcastic today. That's just war, he said, sipping. The Writ had chosen their battleground, Caris V. A dead planet with a molten magnetic core that shredded long-range scans. It was infamous for destroying navigational systems and occasionally melting visitors. More importantly, it housed one of the original PY weapon stations, buried, broken, but possibly still functional. If they activated it, a third of the quadrant would be vaporized. The rest would get very warm, very fast. Kelvin had rallied what was left of the Sarati fleet. Magnificent, symbolic, and mostly held together with outdated tech and fierce loyalty. But it wouldn't be enough. They needed something else. They needed recklessness. So Talvin volunteered. You want to fly into the crust of a planet known for chewing up ships? Noreen asked. Yep. Then disable a forgotten doomsday device while being hunted by cultists who flay people for amusement. Double yep. She sighed. If you die, I get your coat. You already insulted my coat. I insult everything I secretly want. Leary's prepared the stealth pod, a compact wedge of Sarati gravtech and barely tested shielding. It looked sleek, silent, and like the sort of thing that probably came with a disclaimer and a will template. Good luck, the AI said. Also, try not to scream too loudly. It triggers the emergency opera mode. The descent into Keras V's atmosphere was like falling through electric soup. Lightning laced the clouds, static rolled over the hull, and magnetic turbulence danced along their cockpit like ghost fingers. Instruments flickered. Talvin's confidence did the same. This reminds me of my childhood, Noreen said dryly. Explosive, unpredictable, and full of terrible decisions. Exactly. They broke through into lower orbit just as a Rit dreadnought swept overhead, sleek and black as a void blade. Beneath them, the PY station emerged from the dust, tall, angular, humming with energy. A spire, awake and angry. They landed behind a jagged ridge and moved inside. The corridors were lit by flickering red glyphs. Ritual symbols. Ancient warnings. The place pulsed with suppressed violence. I hate when buildings feel sentient, Talvin muttered. Welcome to Sarati architecture, Noreen replied. They ducked behind a panel as two Rit soldiers passed, clad in black armor, their eyes glowing faintly from behind ceremonial visors. One of them paused at a locked door and growled, "Yield, sacred vessel." Talvin raised an eyebrow. Are they yelling at a door? They don't like things that don't obey, she whispered. You'd fit right in. They slipped deeper into the base, dodging patrols and occasionally pretending to be very serious maintenance staff. One particularly confused Rit officer nodded at Talvin and said, "Praise your silence, stranger," before continuing down a hallway. Talvin beamed. New personal best. At the heart of the station, the PY core waited, taller than both of them, etched in ancient script, and already crackling with unstable energy. It's charging, Talvin whispered. If they activate it, we lose everything. Noreen stepped forward. The glyphs shimmered. The energy shifted. It knows me, she said. It's reading my bloodline. That good? Maybe. Sometimes these things test loyalty. Sometimes they just detonate. A deep voice echoed behind them. A Rit commander emerged, taller than the rest, scarred across half his face, and wielding a blade shaped from condensed gravity. You do not belong here, he growled. I was born here, Noreen said calmly. A traitor with royal blood is still a traitor. And a fanatic with a glowstick is still going to lose an arm. The fight exploded into motion. It wasn't graceful. It was efficient. Brutal. Noreen moved like a storm bottled in bone. Talvin backed her up with distractions and thrown tools, an electroblade here, a console screen there, and enough yelling to qualify as improvised combat support. 12 seconds later, the Rit commander was unconscious and still clutching his grudge. The PY core pulsed again. This time, it showed Noreen something, images of the Sarati Empire at its height. Her mother. The old thrones. The fall. A whisper echoed through her thoughts. You were never meant to repeat us. She approached the interface. Talvin stepped forward. You sure? No, she whispered. But I know what I won't be. She pressed her hand to the console. Override. The core dimmed. The power faded. The station sighed like a beast given permission to sleep again. Outside, the battle raged. But without the PY weapon, the tide shifted. Sarati ships surged. The Rit hesitated. They fell back into the black. Retreating. But not gone. Back aboard the Crownless, the AI initiated a victory sequence, complete with trumpet fanfare. Hard pass, Talvin said, waving it off. Nareen leaned against the ring, her breath finally slowing. You could still walk away, he said. No throne. No dominion. Just a quiet moon and a fake name. She looked at him. Then at the stars. This time, she said, I decide what the dominion becomes. No crowns. No temples. Just something better. And your terrifying ship. And my terrifying ship. Talvin offered a grin. So. Queen Nareen. She shook her head. Not Queen. Just Nareen. The one who survived. The one who builds. They stood side by side as the fleet repositioned, not in formation of conquest, but protection. A line drawn in memory. In hope. Talvin nudged her shoulder. Still want my coat? She nodded. It'll look better on me anyway. He laughed. Probably true. And somewhere, across the stars, something ancient began to heal. And that's where we leave them, Talvin, the sarcastic survivor with a coat full of bad decisions, and Nareen, the scarred heir who chose to lead not from a throne, but from memory. Their story isn't just one of warships and lost empires, it's a reminder that legacy is only as powerful as the people who dare to reshape it. The Crownless may be a relic, a beast from another age, but under her command, it became something more. Not a weapon of domination, but of defense. Not a monument to pride, but a vessel for change. As the Rit regroup in silence and the old signals stir across slip space, one thing remains clear, the stars are watching. And this time, they see fire, but not the kind that destroys. The kind that builds. The kind that remembers. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with your fellow sci-fi lovers. Every click helps keep this fleet flying, and your support means the galaxy to us. Until next time, keep watching the skies, and maybe fix your coat collars.